Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spin Rack. We also have,
Calvin Ellis ready to rock.
so right now as you can see, the Absolute Universe is here. We got Absolute Superman, Absolute Batman, and Absolute Wonder Woman. They're all out there. They're what's the name? East Coast stomping out here. It's not actually the East Coast, but they are out here stomping. But it all starts here with this All In issue, right? And this All In issue, and I think Rob Liefeld made fun of the cardboard thing that Batman had. DC like, why should we? We don't have no problem with our cardboard cover, right? We don't care about it anyway. We're cool. And you got the All In comic, the first one. No, that's this other universe. But if you go to this one, which is the Justice League Unlimited, it shows them working together, similar to like I guess Avengers 305, where they kind of meet up and they decide that, hey, we're Justice League Unlimited. Everybody got keys, to the thing. Did you get to see this where they go to the new sort of Fangle Watchtower and do their thing? Any thoughts
Oh
on
yeah, I thought it was. Oh yeah, I thought it was great. Everybody got a new ID card. It was cool, and then they blew everything up.
that?
It was like they really. It's like what happened? The clubhouse used to be a good focal point of you know of being a superhero. You have the Fortress of Solitude. You have the Bat Cave. You have the Arrow Cave. You got the Watchtower. And now they just seem to want to blow it up every 5 seconds. Like, no, it's the clubhouse. It's supposed to be impregnable for the most part. Nobody's supposed to even know it exists, with the exception of the club members. Well, okay, I get it. Clubhouses are stupid. We can't have them. We can't have them anymore. No clubhouses, no secret identity. Nothing. I mean, you would think like if this was the real world, a police station would never be able to exist. It would get blown up all the time.
Yeah, yeah. No, but it's I guess I don't know how much unlimited they're gonna do because I've only seen in Avengers 305 where they kind of just had rotating where you got to see, oh wow, look, it's what's the name, Black Widow's here. Oh, the Falcon showed up. I didn't think the Falcon was gonna show up. Oh, the West Coast guys are over on the East Side, But it leads to a major thing with Darkseid, right? When we get to see this big battle with Darkseid, and it leads to this big explosion that Darkseid wanted this loss to happen, this defeat and death to happen, and they don't know where he went. Must be in the new universe, so they send out Booster Gold, and he is surprised to what he sees. And you flip it to the other side. Now, this is what you buy the book for, because this Wes Craig guy has got, he's doing some interesting stuff as how Darkseid is setting up this thing. He fights a lot of the DC characters. It kind of wipes the floor with them, but it's just some gorgeous stuff, right? So everything with and it says, hey, every time these characters fall from fashion, the fourth world, you got to remember that they're cool, and this is what they kind of do. So this idea of the Darkseid version of the universe, in my mind, yeah, just you're kind of hooked to catch the characters. We're looking at their characters. There's not much Kirby-esque to them outside of the size of actually Kirby-esque. He did do bulky, but if you go like at how many apples high, most Kirby characters aren't that tall. So this is even, and at the same time, I think the Batman one is more like the one from you see in the movie in Batman versus Superman, because that was almost square. It just had a little points at the top. Now they got those almost gone. But now that we got past, anything to say about that? I know you may have to go back into it later. Anything you want to say about the Kirby side? If not, we'll go right to the triumvirate of the new triumvirate of the Ultimate Universe.
We can go right into it. I didn't get a chance to go over it as finally as I would have liked. So
Okay. So, I mean, Batman was first. I don't, in actuality, I looked at it and I said, if you want cool art and a lot of action, this is what you buy it for. So they gave you what you expect from a Batman issue. It was very action packed, bulky, like the Dark Knight. It just the Dark Knight in the it's like the Dark Knight meets the Last Ronin. Like put those two together, give him some wacky cape wings that do weird stuff and kill, and he got a cool bike. And I think someone hinted that he supposedly has no money, but he got all this cool stuff. Just have fun. Who cares? What are your thoughts on the Batman series?
Well, I think I was already on record saying that this type of world just, from a from a view 30,000 feet above, it suits Batman. It's dark, it's dour, and it's low on hope. And so I didn't really think that they made a lot of changes overall to Batman, with the exception of some of his origin being different, as opposed to Crime Alley, it's a zoo, as opposed to him being a certain height. He's like 7 feet. He doesn't have like the money of Wayne Industries, Wayne Tech behind him. But otherwise, it's like this isn't too different from a Batman story at the end of the day, or an Elseworld story that I might have tripped on years ago. So I didn't, I read it, or really, I consumed it for what it was. And I was like, okay, if you're a Batman fan, I don't see how you could dislike it. And they're still trying to pull in, I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to pull in the elements that they really want to emphasize with Batman all the time. So they don't want a detective. They want this brute, thuggish, blunt force trauma hero, if you will, who's just coming in there and laying haymakers, and all of that inspired by The Dark Knight Returns. So even in The Dark Knight Returns, that Batman was still something of a detective, of a master of disguise, of an escape artist, if you will. Not this guy. This guy's just coming in here, with the sledgehammer. And he's just gonna, he's literally coming in with the sledgehammer, literally, taking it off his which people would tell me, oh, that was so cool. He took like that thing on his chest. Yeah, that's really like the hammer, and so on and so forth. I was like, really? You thought that was cool? I was like, that was cool, as opposed to all the other tech and gadgets he's got. That was cool. Like, okay. But then again, I don't know exactly what the people want from Batman, or maybe it's just enough that they weren't expecting that. But I still found this to be very much in line with the Batman story. Not much difference.
Yeah, it's kind of like Batman, um, the Philadelphia. What's it? No, what's it? The Flyers is the hockey team? That's the hockey team? The Flyers?
Yeah.
It's like hockey Batman. Big, bulky, fight, knock around, got the metal shoulder pads. What we would see in like a roller derby type of Batman. So for
With
the
this
future,
with and this curious design that he does for his cape, so he's able to use the cape as more of a weapon. And but again, this goes where, I mean, the idea of Batman, if we go back to 1939, is that it's an outfit, it's a costume to scare criminals. Okay, it's not meant to be. I mean, it wasn't that okay, we pull up one of the ears on the cow, there's a knife in there, or we got microsurgery circuitry, in the mask. We got all this other stuff going. The primary idea was that when you saw Batman coming, because of the design of the costume, so on and so forth, it would scare the crap out of criminals, because they were like, "What the heck is this?" And that fear would do them in. And instead, it became, well, we have to make everything about the outfit some sort of weapon, or somehow it's functional. And so we can go one step further now with the cape, and the cape is designed to do these particular things. And I mean, to a certain extent, I can say, okay, cool, but you once it becomes that, then you're starting to give more and more reasons why he doesn't need to be dressed like this. Because you could easily just put on some military gear and go out and do what you're doing. Why do you need to be dressed as a bat? You'd be more functional at the end of the day.
we haven't got to the other characters, but you bring up a point that I would say that
Oh, and Batman, without a doubt, was the best of the three. That's from my reading. So
okay.
in spite of the criticisms that I'm putting, Batman, without a doubt, was the best of the three. That was the right decision to start with him. That was the best of the three.
So I would say one of the things that, and this is a negative on it, is it would seem, I know Scott Snyder said this is kind of the Batman he wanted to do for a while. But this is something that I think
Yeah,
John, huh?
yeah, right. I said, yeah, right.
But
Okay.
this is something that I think, and this is only for Byrne. This is not John Byrne. This is not for most people. But like in looking at characters like Superman or Batman or the Fantastic Four, the one thing when you talk about in creation, even though you know that the the superhero came first, you have the feeling like, hey, Reed Richards could have been thought of first. There's a lot of thought put into Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne in their original inception of what not everything saying we had to get to this point to get them. The outgrowth of these characters seemed like they were sitting down and saying that there was a lot of backstory to these characters, and then they led to this character, just as far as their characterization goes. This character here and the rest of them seem like here's the design we wanted to do, and we're gonna do a story, put a Bruce Wayne around it. So it's like that's
Oh, so like a Mort Wessinger type thing. Like, here's the cover. Give me the story.
yeah, and that's the thing. I think Byrne was talking about the Alpha Flight that when he was a kid, not a kid, but I guess young, he created these characters from design first, but no thought of the backstory as he was going on. And then when he used them, he had to come up with backstories for them because none of them had them. Whereas that's where as a kid, you kind of come in and say, "Here's my character," and somewhat the X Men were kind of the new X Men were kind of like that. Whereas the original X Men, even though some of them their characters came afterwards, the characterization was very strong in what came up of it, where it wasn't just felt like it was tacked on, even though the Beast didn't have the same personality he had from issue one. So one of the things that's hard is like it seems like this he wanted to work with this artist, which is one of the things. He said if you were to redesign Batman, what would you do? And then that fuels you. But at the same time, you have the people like the same struggles that Byrne had with that sort of thing is the same struggles that the Image guys had with the characters that were their fan characters when they did the Image books. Most of them lasted like 10 issues. They were just like, hey, there's no reason to keep doing this. Or at the same time, I'd give you credit if they went to writing. So it seems like something that that came up with as a cool look, and they built a story around it, which is a way you can do stuff. The hard part is that you're not going to continue to do this unless it's really interesting. Like, I guess Deadpool's in that sense, but somehow it has built a following and it's going on further. So it can happen, but when you have the regular Batman in comparison, it's kind of hard to say at some point we're going to buy into this guy more than the other guys. So even any great ones that we didn't elsewhere, even what's the name, Gotham by Gaslight, hasn't maintained its own monthly type of thing or interest to anyone to do that.